are focusing on unlocking growth and success, discussion on harnessing the power of SAP to grow and rise. So today we have two eminent speakers with us. One, Mr. Jayakumar Mohanachandran. He is the Group Chief Information Officer, Buzeki Group. So who is he? What is he? And he has a lot of massive profile with him. He is an eminent personality. It's an honor to have him at KTX. And we'll have two speakers today. And before we move on, a small brief about Mr. Jayakumar Mohanachandran. He's currently navigating fractional CIO roles at diverse organizations. He also serves on the advisory board for some esteemed organizations like TruSpec, F9 Infotech, Corner, to name few. Additionally, he leads the CIO club within the UAE, demonstrating his commitment to fostering professional networks and advancing technological leadership in this region. So I please welcome Mr. Jayakumar Mohanachandran on stage. A big round of applause to the gentleman. Mr. Jayakumar. Yes, he is the Group Chief Information Officer, Buzeki Group. So he will be joining with Mr. Vinod Palakil, Senior Director, Regional Sales, SAP India. So he has, with 20 years of experience in IT sales, Mr. Vinod has consistently exceeded sales goals by customizing solutions and fostering strategic alliances. His extensive industry insight makes him an asset in driving mutual growth. So extremely honored and pleased and pleasure to have two gentlemen on the dais. So let them have their exchange of ideas, knowledge, experience being shared, and their powerful insight on the topic for today, unlocking growth and success, discussion on harnessing the power of SAP to grow. So yes, gentlemen, the dais is all yours.
Morning, everyone. It's fantastic to be here, in this part of the world. I'm basically from Kerala, been there for initial part of my career. Right now based in Dubai, for last about 9.5 years. And always it's a pleasure to be a part of a conference of such scale that's happening in my own city or my own country. So that's something which gives me a lot of pleasure today to be here in front of all of you. So thank you very much, KTX Global and the entire organizers of this wonderful event. And we have Vinod here along with me. I represent TruSpec today. I'm on the advisory board of TruSpec, and we are an SAP partner. And at the same time we have Vinod from SAP. He heads the South region for SAP. So welcome Vinod on board.
Thank you, Jay. Firstly, thank you for inviting me. I think it's a pleasure to be amidst the August gathering here and to be part of this particular conference, especially in a city as Kozhikode, which I believe is going to become the next gateway for innovation. Correct. So thank you for having me.
Exactly. As you mentioned, Vinod, I think it's going to be very interesting because living quite a lot of time outside India and traveled a lot of countries, we have seen the innovation happening a lot, and it's always a surreal moment to see that happening within our own country. Yeah. So it's a pride moment for all of us, to represent something like this on a scale, especially in our country.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So today we will be discussing some very interesting topic, and I'm hoping that we'll have some interesting conversations, and which will be useful and meaningful for all of you, and we'll have some key takeaways as well. So you all know that SAP has been there for quite a number of years, and SAP as an ecosystem has evolved a lot over the last number of years. Right now, the whole world is actually moving towards cloud. And if you really look at it, the cloud has captured majority of the market share when it comes to businesses, particularly to help them being more agile. And I think this is a no-brainer. I mean, like if you want to kind of move ahead and get the things moving, agility is the key, and you should be able to kind of take decisions and move faster. So that's where SAP is now helping enterprises, and more than enterprises, small and medium enterprises, to make sure that they can actually migrate the workloads, move everything to cloud, and take advantage of such technologies. That's the kind of background what SAP is providing right now to all the SMEs across the world. So we'll have a conversation around that, and I would like to ask maybe a few questions, and let's continue our conversation.
And absolutely, I'd like to have this freewheeling conversation, and like you rightly said, so I typically represent the SME business, right? So SME is very close to SAP. One fact which probably I'd like to lay down is 80% of today's SAP business comes from the SMEs.
Wow.
Right? So the biggest myth that I want to bust is SAP is not for large enterprises. Right? It is, of course, but 80% of our revenue comes from the small and medium enterprises.
Brilliant. I think that gives a lot of confidence. I mean, like if you look at it, it's not just for enterprises, it's for everyone, for all of us. And that's the message which is also loud and clear, which in majority of the events when we actually discuss, when we see the SAP folks, and that's what we hear the most, and it's very promising, especially for a country like India. So I think maybe we'll start with a very, very general topic. What do you see, or how do you see a cloud ERP helping an organization in the digital transformation?
Yeah. I think if I have to simplify, right, what is cloud ERP? It's ERP that is deployed on cloud servers instead of doing it on on-prem servers. And like you kickstarted the conversation, I think the biggest thing that organization today look at cloud, or why cloud is actually picking up, is because of the point that you mentioned, which is agile. It brings a lot of agility to any kind of organization. So if you look at any digital transformation initiative of any SMEs or any large enterprise, if you see, cloud ERP is at the heart. It is at the core, right? Because that is like the umbilical cord for the business, right? Rest of the peripheral applications actually are going to work around this. So cloud ERP becomes the center of an organization's transformation journey, and especially in a digital world, right? So why and how this is actually helping digital transformation is few key aspects, right? One, cost effective. Organization doesn't have to put upfront huge investment when they have to go for a cloud ERP as part of their transformation initiative. Because cloud is obviously based on, it has the flexibility of buying as much as you want, consume, start small, and grow as your organization grows. So it brings in that particular flexibility. Agility, right? In the old years, yesteryears, I would say, if you have to implement something like an ERP, you need to factor, buy infrastructure, not only for now, right? You size the hardware for the next 5 years or 7 years. You make that upfront huge investment there, right? So it gives the flexibility of reducing the upfront cost. Second, of course, being agile. So what I mean by agile is the cloud platform in which an ERP is hosted, or the vendor who provides a cloud ERP, not only has to meet the current requirement or the organization goals, but it has to be very agile to adapt to the ever-changing business needs, right? I think all of us in this particular room would realize that the way we used to do businesses before to how we are doing business now is completely different, right? A simple analogy is many years back, not many years back, probably a decade back, right? If you have to have some food, you have to walk into a restaurant, right? Now what do? You have the apps. You can order whichever food of your choice and it gets delivered in the time that is promised, right? That's how business is evolving. And all these businesses today are changing because of cloud technology, right? Cloud gives these aspects. And lastly, it also gives you a platform for you to reinvent business, right? if an enterprise is working in a particular way, a fashion today, for example, I'm just quoting my examples, right, where we have worked. An organization which manufactures, say, machines, right, and used to sell machines to other businesses. For example, a machine tool, right? CapEx, that was the way how they used to sell. Now, a cloud ERP gives them to bring up alternative models. They are able to give it on OpEx. They are able to charge their customers basis the number of products that is manufactured out of that machine, right? So the CapEx investment is zero. So, in summary, I feel cloud ERP definitely brings in that particular agility, simplicity, and put all these things together. It aids a brilliant transformation initiative for any company, irrespective of the size.
Brilliant. Very well articulated, Vinod. I think these are the key aspects which any of the business organizations and any of the business users would love to hear. Specifically the agility part, the cost effectiveness, and also in terms of reinventing your business. So I think brilliantly put together. And what we also wanted to discuss today is like what fits whom. Obviously there is a lot of solutions, and right now we know that SAP has come up with Rise with SAP and Grow with SAP.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Can you provide an overview of what's Rise with SAP and Grow with SAP options, and specifically to SMEs?
Yes. So, again, to keep it very simple, Rise with SAP and Grow with SAP is SAP's cloud offerings to enterprises, right? The enterprise can be small, it can be medium or large today. So we as an organization also have transformed from an on-premise software development to a cloud delivery organization. So as of the last 3 years, we are not selling on-premise ERP at all, right? Because what we realized is cloud not only brings the agility to the customers that we spoke about when you asked me the first question, but it also enables us as a company to innovate that much more faster, to bring in those innovations that much more quicker. And we ourselves have become extremely agile in our development, right? When we became agile, we can bring those innovations to our customers that much more quicker, right? So, keeping this underlying principles in mind, Rise with SAP basically what we call is a transformation as a service. It's a business transformation as a service. So what is business transformation? If I have to say, see, any kind of digital transformation or business transformation is not a one-stop journey, right? When any organization hops on to a digital transformation, it shouldn't be that, okay, I'm here today as an organization and I'm doing this digital transformation to reach here. That's not the end, right? It's a journey. So what Rise with SAP gives is it not only gives you a platform and business process with industry expertise to reach that point that an organization wants, but it also gives you a lot of capability to make your entire enterprise intelligent, okay? What I mean by intelligent is to take the ERP beyond the four walls of an organization. So what Rise with SAP comes up with, S/4HANA Cloud, which is your software subscription license. It also comes with business technology platform, right? What business technology platform gives us? It gives an organization the ability to integrate any third-party applications that the organization is running, right? Every SME or every enterprise today don't just work with SAP or any particular ERP. There are specialized softwares that an organization uses. So any kind of ERP has to have capability to integrate. So business technology platform brings in that, not only brings in the integration, it also gives the flexibility to the organizations to develop applications on a low-code, no-code as well.
Oh, brilliant. That's very interesting.
Along with BTP, what we get is also a business network. So once you have the core ERP set up and you have integrated your periphery application, we take it to the next step, right? Integrating our suppliers, integrating the vendors that the customer wants to digitize the business between both the organizations digitally. For example, a simple example is when you generate a purchase order in ERP, right? Typically, if you're not digitally connected to your vendor, how do we send the purchase orders? We send it through email, right? Old days through fax, now you send it through email. Now, I as a customer who I have sent my purchase order to a vendor, I'm not sure whether he received it. So what do? I call him and say, hey, you know what? I've sent you, right? And then he say, okay, I'll have a look at it. It becomes very manual, right? So when I connect my enterprise to my vendor, the PO to the payment, right, goes in a portal, right? There's a message that goes to this vendor saying, hey, you've got a purchase order from so-and-so. It gives the ability in his mobile app to go and accept it. So when he accepts the purchase order, you get a reply back saying the vendor has accepted. So I know he's accepted the purchase order, right? From acceptance to advance shipping notice to when he ships with the invoice, accepting the invoice, making the payment, sending the payment invoice. Complete is digitized. Okay. Right? So it brings the ability to connect business network. It brings the ability for business transformation. And it also gives ability for the customers to actually scale as it grows. So in RISE with SAP, they can start, an organization can start the journey wherever they want, but it gives a platform for them to grow, right? So business transformation is a journey. So that's RISE with SAP, and typically RISE with SAP for us is in private cloud, right? We as a organization consciously want to ensure that we provide all options to customers. So RISE with SAP is completely on private cloud. It's as good as an on-premise system, right? On the other side, the Grow with SAP is for scale-up organizations, for startup, a small enterprise, right? This is in public cloud. So what is public cloud is, it comes with fit to standard offerings. So here, you have all the industry best practices in the RISE with SAP. Similarly, there are industry best practices pre-configured in Grow with SAP. So if there are organizations which has just grown from an Excel-based business to possibly a small finance package that they're using, this gives an ability for them to run their business as per industry standards. Look, SAP has been in this business for 50 years, right? And we're like horse, right? Our vision is only industry. So today, SAP caters to 25 different industries. So the public cloud today comes with standard industry best practices. So the organization, the small organizations today can just start by using the best practices, right? Bring in that particular agility that the organization looks at, the standard best practices look at, and then start. So in a nutshell, today we cater to organizations who are in medium scale, who actually wants to go on a private way. We have the private cloud, which is called as RISE. And organizations which want to start somewhere and start quick, have a very quick implementation, realize the benefits quickly, right? Because they don't have any baggage, they're not using any ERP, small package. So in summary, these are the two offerings that we have today.
Great, great. So I think, is it very clear, is it? I mean, like, if you're a startup, you want to scale your business, obviously Grow with SAP is a fantastic option for you. And if you're already on SAP and probably you wanted to kind of migrate or move your workloads and, capture all the latest offerings, then RISE with SAP would be the best offering. I think, probably majority of the people wanted to understand this difference, and I'm sure that we are able to kind of communicate that really well. One of the other thing which also comes to our mind is how do we address this small and medium enterprises related challenges, which are business challenges. So probably, when we go through this digital transformation journey and, majority of the challenges that comes along with that, how do you think SAP, or whether it's Grow with SAP or whether it's RISE with SAP, how can they address that challenges particularly related to a transformation journey within an SME?
See, that's a great question, right? See, again, going by our experience dealing with hundreds of SMEs, right, in India, globally. Every organization feels that they are unique, right, in their own right, which is absolutely, right from their perspective. But if you look at it from a holistic, from a 10,000 feet level, the challenges are not, if you marry those challenges between, say, two SMEs, probably 80% of it is common. right? There are 20% which is very unique to whichever industry that both these organizations are.
I think that way the challenges will definitely be there with any industry, any level. You know, as you rightly said, you know, it will be more or less the same. Yeah.
It'll be more or less the same, right? So when they engage with us or our partners like TrueSpec and the other partners that we have, right? We are trained, right? And how do we get this experience? We got it because we are there in this market for the last 50 years and 25 years in India. So we learn from different industries, and we are a company who take feedbacks, right? We have industry councils, right? So we understand what are the trends, challenges that the industry is going, and we ensure that we are ahead of the game in terms of incorporating those processes in our, like, releases if it is not there presently, right? So if you see, typically, if I have to summarize what an SME challenges what are the challenges that an SME face when they go through a digital transformation, I think the biggest challenge, right, is resistance to change, right? Leave aside SAP.
I think that goes without saying, irrespective of any industry, any size of the organization, resistance to change is something which, I mean, we as human beings, we're born to that, you know.
Yeah, I think the previous gentleman who was talking about cybersecurity, and I think this lovely lady here was using iPhone. If I give her a Samsung, she'll not. If I give her an Android, she will not, right? She'll say, I'm using an iPhone and I'm happy with it. I don't want to change.
Exactly.
Right? So that's from a basic human perspective, but from an enterprise perspective, it's extremely critical that organization realizes that change is constant. Everyone realizes, right? I think it's about the intent. So resistance to change is the biggest. The second thing is probably I'm too small, right? I'm too small. Am I ready for SAP, right? I'm sure if you and me start a business, of course we start small, but our vision is big. So any kind of organization who realizes that the vision is growth, the vision is to compete, the vision is to actually stay ahead of their competition, right, has to look at a digital transformation. So that, I think, is a barrier. These two softer elements of barriers is something that no technology can change.
Absolutely. I mean, brilliantly put it, Vinod. I mean, thank you so much for that. And I think these are the pointers which every organization will have to keep an eye, you know, whether they undergo a transformation along with SAP or even otherwise. I mean, like, whenever they get into any transformation journey, this is something which will be superseding. In terms of customization and flexibility, this is one another very critical area where when I talk to multiple people within the industries, within different organizations, people always feel like, I have a system, I have a software which was in-house developed, I have a system that's been used for last 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever, and it's been very flexible. It allows me to do anything and everything, and I can manage everything. The moment you come and say that SAP, and then you will say that this is not possible, that's not possible, I mean, you cannot do this, and every industry, every business is unique, you know. So if you really look at that way, what customers want here is actually the flexibility, you know, and customization, you know, specifically for their business requirements. So how do you think, any of these solutions within SAP can address that? And this will be a challenge irrespective of enterprise and SMEs. And I believe everybody needs that customization. And you mentioned it very clearly in terms of fit to standard, you know, specifically with RISE. So can you just elaborate a little bit on that?
No, absolutely. That's a very valid question. This is a common, one of the barriers that when we interact with growing SMEs and enterprises, this is a common question, right? Because obviously this, again, if you connect back to what I told, averse to change, right? Or I'm used to working in a particular way. Can the new software enable me to work in the particular way, right? Look, I'll be very, very open and honest here, right? If you have to work in a particular way that you're doing, why do you need SAP or any other standard softwares in the market, right? It doesn't bring any kind of value, right? Now, there are certain things, obviously, which is very unique, which has to work in any software. But some things are extremely simple. If you look at finance, right? Finance is a no-brainer irrespective of industry, right? It has accounts payable, account receivables, any other financial aspects that you have to look at. It's the same, right? Similarly, if you look at any kind of industry, say in a discrete manufacturing industry, right? There are certain industry best practices, right? And a vendor like SAP, like I said, works with the largest of the largest discrete manufacturing or any other 25 industries that you look at to the smallest of the smallest, right? What SAP brings to you as a customer is, hey, I have a software where I bought the world's best business practice, right? So organizations have to be open to adopt what is actually the best practices. Otherwise, you can develop the software on Java or any other platform. You don't need SAP or you don't need any kind of standard software packages, right? At the same time, to address those 20% customization that or unique requirements that you have, like I mentioned, we have a platform called BTP, right? So you can actually do all the customization. And Jay, my experience is, I'll tell you, it's a human mental psychology, right? When I'm going to buy, for example, when I want to buy anything, if I go to a car today, a showroom to buy, I'll ask him, do you have this? Do you have ADAS? Do you have perforated seats, AC ventilated? I'll ask for everything on this world, right? Because when I'm spending money, I want the best. That's the only mentality that we have. But if you realize, trust me, this has come out of experience, right? Where we have sold certain elements to a customer, after 8 or 10 years when we do an assessment, right? All this customization that they spoke about, which they wanted to use, 80 to 90% is not used at all. It's not required, right? It's absolutely not required. And what an organization has to realize is, do you want to be agile and simple, right? The platform should work like a factory, right? We have to adopt around it. So the basic principle for SAP is to keep the core absolutely clean. Why? There are two reasons. Look, it's on the cloud, right? In a private cloud, of course, you have entire flexibility to do whatever you want, but it comes with its own cost, right? Because it's a private environment that SAP is building for you. But if you go to a software like Grow with SAP, obviously it's a multi-cloud environment, it's on public cloud, right? So you will have to adopt to the standards. And trust me, when we do something called as a digital cloud assessment, right, or a business process understanding, trust me, today the SMEs that are running, if they need 100 things, 80 things is out of the box. So am I good to adopt that 80 to start with, or am I going to haggle on the 20 that I'm not going to get? That's the decision that organizations needs to take. At the same time, the 20 can be developed in BTP. So both our solutions today can provide customization depending upon what is the need of the industry. And all the customization today, if you ask me, is not on the process. It's mostly what we have seen is on reports. Okay, I need an extra field here, I need an extra column here, I need this data to come. Those things are pretty simple for us to manage, right? So customization today is something that both these solutions can handle in its own particular way using business technology platform. The customers don't compromise on anything.
Great. So I think, it's again very clear that we can do anything. Only change what has been, came in was mainly in terms of the core has to be kept clean. So SAP has come up with something called BTP, and especially you can do anything and everything which is possible within the BTP environment. But at the same time, as we know, you mentioned, that was a very, very clear point and, articulated really well. How much of these customizations, how much of these solutions, what you actually take are something which you really use? And this is a big question which you need to ask your own team, your own business process team, or the other departments as well.
The other point is, Jay, the idea is technology can give you any kind of customization, right?
Exactly.
But the other aspect is organizations don't realize that you're going to spend time and money into developing those things, which you're not going to use eventually.
Yep.
So if there is the same objective, if I can give it in a different way, right? True. Organization should be open enough to adopt it, because ultimately we need to look at saying, hey, you know what, this customization I needed to meet this objective. Am I getting that? Yes. Why should I spend time and money here?
Yeah. So great. I think in the interest of time, we'll just quickly move ahead. In terms of one other point, what we wanted to kind of also discuss is like we talked about innovation and growth, and how SAP can help. It's been very clearly articulated in the earlier conversation. What we wanted to understand also is maybe in terms of a little bit how organizations can measure the ROI, and maybe get the value out of this kind of implementations. I mean, we all talk about digital transformation. We all talk about migrating to large systems, including SAP for that matter. Now we all understood that SAP is something which a startup can also implement. Organization which is on a SME level or an enterprise can also work. But how do you measure the ROI? Is there any metrics behind it? Or how an organization or a business owner can feel that, yes, we get the value by implementing SAP?
Yeah. And of course, that's a pertaining question that any SMEs today look at, right? When we go and engage with any SMEs, the CIOs or the functional people, when they go to proprietors, the owners, right? They say, okay, how do we get this money back, right? Can you measure? So, simple thing to put on Excel, right? There are certain things that is measurable, right? For example, if you look at how much of money that I would have put upfront in a server, buying the licenses, the annual maintenance cost for 5 years versus the cost of putting it on cloud. That's a very simple measure. But what organizations don't realize, when you do that, you would obviously feel cloud is expensive, right? But the critical elements that I'd like to bring out, which has to be part of an ROI, is software elements and software KPIs which don't have a measure, right? Simple things like user productivity, right? A product like SAP's ERP S/4HANA Cloud simplifies a lot of process, right? Invoice matching today, if I have to give you one example, invoice matching is a tedious task if it is not in SAP, right? We have extremely simplified it. There's a three-way matching that we actually do and the system automatically does, which today is completely manual. Now, can I put a measure? Of course I can put a measure. How many people in my company is actually doing the job, right? Now, bringing SAP, that's another barrier. They say if SAP comes, people lose job. No, people don't lose job. But it makes the organization agile, and that person who's doing that mundane job can be used to do a lot of strategic jobs, right? And innovate and bring. So these software elements also has to be considered, right? Second, the other measurables are the benefits that an organization would get by automation, right? Inventory management. It gives an organization, today when you bring in a product like SAP, it gives the organization a view in terms of how much do I need to stock, right? Because SAP is not a disintegrated system where there is a finance module, there is a material management module, or there is a HR module, right? SAP works on process, right? From order to cash, say from hire to retire. So everything is connected. So it gives a visibility to organization to be more effective in their processes. Right? So the benefits that it actually brings in is immense. So SAP and SAP's partners, by our experience working with multiple customers, today SMEs don't have the know-how how to do it. But what I urge is that when you work with us, we will help you build those ROIs. How do we do that? Not only by these elements that I told, we even do a comparative case study with a similar customer in a similar industry. Right? How did they improve? What are the kind of benefits that they actually got? And we build a report called as Move the Needle, right? By going into a platform like SAP, how do we move the needle from where you are to what you want to become, right? There's a clear document that we can assist in terms of doing it, because we've been doing this for years, right? And it's completely understandable that the customer on the other side obviously requires help. At times what happens is, Jay, customers don't talk to us and say, this is the reason why we don't want to. But if you are extremely open and we work in a consultative way, we can build in actual reports and tell you how the ROI is going to come and which are those areas that it's going to come. Because an organization is effective in certain areas, an organization is not effective in certain areas, right? Yeah. So we help you identify where we can make the organization effective.
Yeah, it's always a healthy handshake that would be required between two organizations if we really wanted to take the transformation journey to the next level. I'm sure we know many people will have questions around the support aspect as well, which is one of the most crucial element of any transformation. Yes, I sign up with SAP, I'm going ahead with SAP, but what and how will I get the support? Yes, we have partners like TrueSpec, we have partners, for managing this end to end. But do you think that I can get something out directly from SAP, or what's your take on that? People wanted to collaborate, people wanted to kind of ensure that the transformation is happening, within their organizations and their enterprises. But at the same time, there will be a concern on the back of the mind just to understand, how will I connect? How will I do this? What kind of support I will get? And SAP is such a large organization. Who will I contact? So can you just elaborate a little bit in terms of that support model and what kind of collaboration, what they can do?
See, if there's one company on this earth, right, where customers doesn't have to be worried on support, it's SAP. I'll tell you why. Because the sheer amount of resources today that is available in the market, right? Leave aside what SAP will do, which I'll talk about, right? But today, if an organization implements SAP, right, and over a period of time, obviously people move on, right? There are certain key resources within an organization who actually moves out and you would need to replace it, right? SAP is the only organization where you'll easily get resources in the market because we invest, right, and we train a lot of professionals in the market today, right? Because I think one, it's a lucrative job, right? SAP certification, I'm sure everyone knows it's an extremely lucrative job, right? People train. We also work with educational institutions, right? Where we create SAP Center of Excellence, and there are institutions where SAP courses are taken up as an elective. And not only we do that, we also aid them in terms of getting recruited in organizations, right? So one, in terms of resources, don't have to worry. I've seen, I don't want to name any of the competitors or any of the other alternate platforms, but we have seen organizations struggle in terms of getting resources. So that one, rest assured, any SMEs, they don't have to worry about. Now, coming back to SAP, obviously, like I mentioned, we not only support the customer, provide a consultative approach and build a digital transformation journey with them right from the pre-sales to give an absolute plan in terms of what they're going to get out of this particular implementation, right? We marry the processes and actually tell them that these are the areas and this is how the systems are going to configure, right? We do a show and tell. Our partners today, as you know, we've become very agile in implementation also as well, right? The other thing, like, organizations, usually SMEs feel that, look, SAP is a white elephant. It takes about 3 years to implement, right? We've seen, those are old stories, Jay, right? We've seen organizations today going live in 4 weeks. 4 weeks.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, like, you see a system like SAP can be transformed, and transform your organization in 4 weeks.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
4 weeks. Grow with SAP, we've seen customers go live in 3 months, right? So it's absolutely simple today. It's all activate. Second, training is a part of our implementation plan, right? Which every partner goes through. So change management is handled that particular way. There are numerous forums and discussion online that is available, which has huge SAP content today. Right? You just go to Google, you type, you'll get n number of, you don't have time to actually go through. There are immense resources that is available. And second, I think from SAP's perspective, let me tell you that we are part of the organization called as Customer Success Group, right? Which is CSG. What this means is, in a cloud world, it's not only about selling, it's about making the project successful, because if you are not successful, you will not renew the contract the subsequent year. Simple as that. Right? So what we do is we do a customer value journey. In every key projects that we engage, we ascertain the milestones or the value journey that the customer wants to do, ensure that SAP supports the partner to ensure that those customer value journeys are met during the course and customers realizes the ROI. So it's a foolproof mechanism that we actually have to ensure that customer gets support. Right? See, as humans, obviously there might be a Vinod today, there might not be a Vinod tomorrow, but company still has strong processes and support methodologies that today, and if you see, our founder usually says when SAP, like, in Germany, when SAP was born about 50 years back, so there were about 10 customers who initially signed up, 8 of them are still on SAP.
Wow.
Right? The 2 of them closed because they shut down shops, but 8 of them are still on SAP.
So, and if SAP, so guys, what we are talking about is 50 years before, who has signed up with SAP, 10 out of them, out of that 8 of them are still with SAP. So that shows the credibility of the platform and the future proofing of the platform.
And the support ecosystem that's available today, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think, we have summarized it all really well. I think, we covered it from understanding of cloud, what and how this can be supporting to your enterprise and organization. and also in terms of the ROI, in terms of the innovation and growth, what are the different models that are available. We discussed all this. But at the same time, maybe a last question, Vinod. There's a lot of buzz around artificial intelligence, AI, ML, security. We just had a session just before this. People will have a lot of concerns, I'm going ahead with cloud, I'm migrating my entire data, SAP is taking it over. Right now I have control, everything is with me, and you guys are saying SAP, grow with SAP, rise with SAP, but will I get some benefit? Is SAP future-proofed on that manner? All these AI, ML technologies or anything that's coming up in the market, is that something which is already embedded in your roadmap? Is there something which you are already planning to adopt? Or whether the customers, whether it's a startup or whether it's a SME for that matter, will they get benefit? Or I need to be on a certain scale to get that benefit? These are things which I'm sure people will have questions like that.
Yeah,
so future-proofing is something which we can talk about.
Absolutely, that's a wonderful question, and I'm glad you brought up that particular point, right? Well, I'm a firm believer, being in the industry, being in SAP for the last 1 decade plus, right? What I see is today, AI is going to be the biggest game changer, possibly if I compare how internet changed the world. When internet came in, right, AI is going to be more than that, trust me.
Absolutely.
Right? It's going to be the biggest disruptor. And today, if there is one, again, a company, a business enterprise company that can bring in the best business AI, and that's SAP. I'll tell you why. What does AI need? AI needs data, right? I'm talking about only business. I'm not talking about the general AI that's available today, right? When you look at AI in parlance of business, SAP is the only company that has complete data of enterprise, right? And coming to cloud ERP, our innovations are completely on AI. The Gen AI is completely happening only on cloud, right? It can only happen on cloud because we also can innovate only on a cloud setup, right? So today as we stand, we already have AI and Gen AI use cases that is available in Rise and Grow with SAP as well, right? You would have seen, if all of you can go to Google, probably type Joule, right? Is one of the Gen AI, the digital assistant that SAP is launched. Probably in the next 1 month, it's going to be general availability to customers. So we are a company, and S4HANA, whether it's Grow or Rise, actually helps you, not only do what you're doing today in a better manner, but it also helps you adopt to these AI, ML, and the automation capabilities that SAP brings, right? That is where SAP is also investing today, right? Not only SAP, I think a lot of companies are going berserk on AI, but let me assure you that business AI, if someone can do it, there's no better than SAP who can do business AI.
So you mean to say that this is all completely embedded into the system, and any organization, irrespective of the scale and size of the organization, they can just adopt it, when they adopt SAP?
No, absolutely. If organizations are not thinking about AI, well, I read a statistics, I don't know which forum it was, I read a statistics today in boardroom discussions. There was a graph that said a CEO uttered AI more than some 1,000 times, right? So boardroom discussions today are talking about AI, right? So today every organizations, however small or big, if they're not thinking about AI, right? Yeah. I don't think you can stay competitive. And for you to think AI, a product like SAP is the start that you need to have, because you need to get data in one place, right? You need to optimize, you need to bring in those automations, the system today has to actually come back and tell proactively where the process is going wrong rather than asking, right? So these capabilities are built in and are going to be built in every product line of SAP. It's not only about our core ERP, but even if you look at the success factors which already exist, if you look at our CX portfolio, if you look at our procurement portfolio of solutions, it's going to get embedded across. No doubt about it.
Brilliant. I think I can closely relate to this because, you can see from my profile as well, I work as the group CIO for a large conglomerate. I've been in the technology industry for 25 plus years now. I've been heading organizations in different parts of the world. And I have seen this happening. I've worked in all different large platforms like SAP, and I've seen that very clearly how SAP is able to kind of conquer the market and make sure that you get what you want right from that system. And I mean, I'm sure that this all comes with that, mindset of growth. And obviously, for organizations who really want to grow and transform, I believe, this is the opportunity, this is the product. And what next? We are all here. We are just concluding this wonderful session today. And let's give a big round of applause to Vinod, to be a part of this wonderful fireside chat. And I'm sure that, we have SAP and TrueSpec here in this Kerala Technology Expo as a sponsor and partner. So do visit. If you have any questions, we will be happy to answer. And thank you so much for, paying attention and being here today. Thank you, Vinod.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you again for having me and for an engaging conversation.